Today I'll be reviewing Pokemon Journeys episode 37. I'm back. It's nice to meet you, Alola. This is a very long awaited episode for multiple reasons. One, it's the first episode in a long time that they've crossed generations with the previous. And two, it's Ash's long awaited return to Alola. I made a video about Ash returning to Alola a few months ago, and I'm so glad it actually happened this quickly. We got to see so many great things in this episode, like Kukui and Burnett's newborn son, Ash's old team, his friends, an update on Lily, which was very appreciated. And we ended the episode with a battle between Go and Kiawe, which I think was great interaction for Go because we got a 100% clear view on what his focus is and his relationship with Ash. So with all that being said, let's start the actual review. So the episode starts off with Yamper finding a leaf stone with its ability pickup, and Go uses it to evolve his Execute into Executor, and Ash tells him about Alola and Executor, and so they decide they want to go to our favorite island, Melemele Island, where they spent 90% of the series. So at the station, Ash and Pikachu reunite with Professor Kukui, Ash's only dad, and then Ash introduces Go to Professor Kukui and says that he's his Alolan family. He and Burnett are his Alolan family. And I love that they still call each other that. So, after Kukui checks out Go's starters, they both head to Ash's Alolan home. And Ash saying I'm home when he gets there and Burnett saying welcome home was the perfect touch to them being a family. So after that we get introduced to Kukui and Burnett's newborn son Lei, Ash's new little brother, who will probably catch up in age to Ash one day and become his rival. But jokes aside, this means that it's been at least 9 months since they left Alola or close, since he's been born, and Ash is still in his Time God form, unaging. Either way, after that we see Ash reunite with his old team, the champion squad minus Poipole of course, and he introduces them to Go, and I actually think it's pretty great that Ash left his team in Alola now, because otherwise they'd be in Oak's lab and we would have never seen them again. Even when Ash returned to Kanto in Alola last season, we hardly saw any of his old Pokemon. We only saw them in cameos, and he only really interacted with Bulbasaur. So after that, Go goes in search of Alolan Executor and other regional forms, and along the way they stop by the sea, and Ash says nothing beats the Alolan Sea. I feel like if Ash ever retired, he'd retire in Alola ever since episode 20 of Sun and Moon. And other times, it always seems like he talks about Alola as if it's special compared to everywhere else he's been. But that aside, Go catches a Pyukumuku and then goes after Grubbin, and he chases it, and it leads him to an Alolan Dugtrio, and that leads to him falling into the sea, and to our first character return from the Alola crew, Lana, who fishes him out of the sea, and Eevee saves Raboot. I was pretty surprised with Lana's reaction to finding out who Go was, because she seemed to have a lot more energy or was more surprised or enthusiastic. That aside, I really did enjoy the old Alola soundtracks that they were used or that were reused in this episode. I also noticed that they showed us Team Rocket's old Pokemon, Mimikyu and Toxapex, along with Beware and Stuffle, and in that moment I really wish Team Rocket was in this episode. So after that, Ash reunites with Rotom, everyone's favorite Pokédex. Ash's smartphone Pokédex calls Rotom useless, and then Rotom tells Ash to head to the school because Go and everyone else is waiting there. And while Go is at the school, he's being questioned by Malo, Lana, and Sophocles about what he likes to eat, the new Pokédex. And Lana just really thinks Sobble is cute. And Go is just being overwhelmed. I'm not sure if he's just shy around strangers, or it's because of how enthusiastic Ash's Alolan friends are. It makes you realize how different Go and Koharu are compared to previous companions, and I really appreciate that. I'm kinda upset Koharu isn't here. I made a prediction that she would join them in Alola, and this is where she'd catch the Chikorita, or not the Chikorita, the Comfey that we see in the ending. But it looks like that wasn't the case. She probably would have reacted the same way Go did in this episode to Ash's Alolan friends, but I realized that Koharu goes to her own school. I'm not sure if it's a Pokemon school where they learn about Pokemon or a regular school, but maybe they'll do a collaboration and that'll bring Koharu to Alola. At a minimum, I'd like to see Koharu return with them to Alola whenever Ash and Go return, since they made a promise to return at the end of this episode. So after all the awkward questioning for Go, our guy finally shows up, Kiawe. And I should have mentioned this earlier, but I'm kind of upset that the Sun and Moon gang didn't get new outfits. I mean, Kiawe only would have gotten new pants, but the rest of them could have used a new outfit. I know they don't have new outfits in Ultra Sun and Moon, and that all the new characters and their returning outfits are usually sourced from the game, aside from Misty, who's returned several times now and has gotten a new outfit nearly every time. But even Brock, who only has about a few outfits in the game, got a new one every time he returned in the anime, and he got one when he returned to Alola. These outfits literally got old over 100 episodes ago. But back to Kiawe, so he shows up and tells Go that he's Ash's rival when he was in Alola and still is now. And he asks Go who's a better battler, and Go's like, oh, we just battle every now and then. And Kiawe, in utter shock, says he can't let this slide and challenges Go. So then Ash walks in and calms the mood, and then they have their party. Go says he enjoys Mallow food. That aside, we see Sophocles talk about his dream to go to space, and then Lana gives everyone the Alolan surprise by telling them she got a letter from Lily. And at first I'm thinking they don't have Rotom smartphones, or any phones for that matter. They literally own Aether Paradise, the most scientific place in all of Alola, a floating island in the middle of the sea. But no smartphones. But then I remember that at the end of the Alolan series, or I guess Sun and Moon, Lily promised, or Lana made Lily promise to write to her, and so that's why she wrote them a letter. It was nice getting an update on Lily and what she's been up to with her mom and Gladian, and seeing that they're still looking for her dad. I'm glad the anime writers didn't. They could have just easily ended this story arc and had Lily back in Alola with her dad and be like, oh, we found him at the store buying milk. But they continue this storyline throughout 2 generations. And it's been a journey of over 9 months. And she ends her letter by saying that she wishes to return to Alola with her father to see everyone else again. And Pikachu didn't really care for this story because he was reaching for food. And then Ash shouts to give Pikachu a mini heart attack because Ash is motivated again, so he challenges Kiawe to a battle, but Kiawe wants to battle Go instead to see if he's worthy of being Ash's rival. Because he thinks that the person closest to Ash needs to be strong enough to help him reach his dream. And Mallow and the others are just like, chill out, bro. And Go is like, how can I refuse after hearing that? I've got my pride to protect. Whenever I hear pride, I can only think of Vegeta. But that aside, every episode Go becomes not just a more likable character, but a more interesting one too. I don't know if they're doing it on purpose or if it's just naturally happening within the series, but it's feeling more and more like Go is becoming more like a main character. 100 more episodes of this, and maybe he can get his sequel spin-off or whatever is going to happen after this generation. I'm still not sure if he can fully function as a main character for that long of a time though, but that's a different discussion. Now we are in the final portion of the episode, Go's battle with Kiawe. The battle, it seems they cut off the start of the battle, probably because of time, but I was really looking forward to see this clash of the old generation versus the new, similar to what we got with Brock and Misty last time. But in this case, it was slightly different because I completely forgot how broken Z moves were, and Go doesn't have Dynamax to like counter it. Now that I think about it, Z moves can never go up against Dynamax since Dynamax only works in Galar as of right now, because they'll probably add that into Sinnoh remakes, and Z moves definitely only work in Alola. But I thought the conversation between Go and Kiawe was probably the most interesting aspect of the battle itself because after Go is fed up of Kiawe calling him Ash's rival, Go tells him that he was wrong and that he isn't Ash's rival and that he has no intention of helping Ash reach his dream. And I kind of paused there when he said that because I was like, hold up, this is different. And then he finishes his statement by saying that dreams are something you have to reach on your own, with your own power. And then he says his legendary catchphrase, my future lies in my hands, and says that Ash feels the same way. And I always enjoy these unique lines of dialogue from Go because him recognizing that he has to achieve his dream on his own and Ash has to do the same was great to hear because it means that he doesn't have to depend on others to help him with his dream. And I really enjoy these lines because with these unique lines we get more insight into what Go is thinking and how he feels in certain situations. So after that he tells Kiawe to use his Z move and that he's not Ash's rival but he's his research partner and friend, and as his friend, he wants to put on a battle that Ash can be proud of. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case as soon as Kiawe pulled out the Z move, because Ember stood no chance. It didn't even slow down the Z move, reminding us how broken it was. That and Ember isn't a strong move to begin with. So, as the Z move was coming, Marowak comes and saves them from what could have completely wiped them out of existence. And afterwards, we find out that it was all going according to Kiawe's plan. I don't know. I guess the plan was to completely demolish Go and put him in his place while also saving him. But afterwards, Go is upset, but then quickly gets over it after Kiawe tells him to look after Ash for him, and they become instant buddies. And after that, Kiawe asks him about his dream, and Go tells him that it's to catch every Pokemon up till Mew. And then they all clap, and then we watch as Go catches Alolan Executor, and then Rotom gives a summary. And then Ash and Go at the end of the episode promise to go back to Alola. I actually think Ash and Go are going to return to Alola more than just one time. I think they'll be back at least 2 more times, for Go to catch regional forms, and for us to eventually end up seeing Lily return to Alola with her dad. Otherwise they wouldn't have brung that up in this episode. But if I had to place my bets on Lily returning in any other region, I'd place my bets on Sinnoh as a tie-in to time and space with the Dialga Pokemon, Palkia, and Sinnoh remakes, since they're probably up next. But all that aside, this was a great episode. It was a bit fast-paced. I would have preferred 2 episodes. But what we got in this episode was great regardless. They managed to check off all the things that we wanted to see in this episode, especially with that update on Lily. And they managed to give Girl more character development and growth, which I think was a highlight of this episode. One thing I would have liked was for Ash to take one of his Pokemon with him and use it in the World Championships, but then again he is training new Pokemon. I also would have preferred to see Koharu, but that can still happen at a later time. But let me know what you thought of this episode in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and bye.